some questions that came in, as JP has mentioned. So I call her JP. So forgive me if I just go with it. So we had, so as JP has mentioned or had mentioned, we had some questions that came up in from the series, and I just thought that we'll ask the questions here, we'll talk about them and address them and see where we go from there. And if there are any other questions that you have, please put it in the chats. They'll be read to us. We'll get them, and then we'll hopefully be able to answer all of them in this brief time we have.
Yeah, and I think for me, this is really stretching myself this year. So this year, I decided to do a lot of things that I hadn't done before, to follow a lot of passion projects, and to deliberately create experiences for myself this year. So I think the beginning of the year, we started off Human Investment Group Africa, so a new company. I started learning about wine. I have level 1 and 2 in wine from WISET. Started learning French again. I did French in school, but I started learning French again. I just, see how to experience life in a different way, especially after the last few years with COVID, and the fact that you are just not guaranteed tomorrow. So it was just important for me this year to do something different and to just experience the things that I'm passionate about. So this podcast or Instagram Live or whatever it is is one of those things that I thought, okay, let me try it and let me get out of my comfort zone and just share with you live. So I don't know, how many people do you have online now? We've got four people online. Okay, that's fine.
Okay. As such. Okay, so if we're talking about challenging, this is one of the things that I always shy away from. Yeah. Podcasting, video. I did say I put it out there, but I've been challenged and I've been stretched. So it is exciting to dive right into this. So anyway, so we can just go on to just discussing some of the questions. So like the first thing you said, you started talking about the series and conscious leadership, and I'm curious. I mean, we know this in our program, but it's interesting. It would be good to understand what your perception of consciousness is, or what your understanding of consciousness is, and we can just dive into that.
Okay, so I mean, consciousness really talks about the level of awareness that you have about yourself and about the world around you, and how you're able to use that awareness to live deliberately and to create the life experiences that you have. So I think I was introduced to consciousness and energy because sometimes both of them are interchangeable. They use energy, they use consciousness. And so I was introduced to energy leadership when both of us did coaching certification, and it was based on energy. It was modeled around an energy leadership framework, and it really helped to. It was a huge awareness moment for me, getting to understand that there's so much more to you as a human being, to us as human beings, and we have so much more agency in creating our life experiences, and we're not aware of it. So a lot of us live unconsciously. And not deliberately. I'm just let life run us and life live us.
Living at the effects of life. That's
Absolutely.
What we used to say, I remember.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's when I was introduced to energy and consciousness. And, since then I've really tried to put it into practice. And every single day, I mean, we're all work in progress, we're all trying to master it, but every single day and every single year as it goes by, I find out so much more about the power of consciousness and the power of awareness and the power of energy. So consciousness is really how aware you are of what runs you, what rules you, the thoughts that underlie your behavior, and also, of the world around you and everybody else that you interact with.
Fantastic. And it really is the same. I mean, as we were talking, I was actually just, reflecting on what that even means for me. And it's really similar to what you said. It's a deepened sense of awareness and how you show up, and the impact of your presence or how you show up, on other people, and especially when it comes to leadership. So, and I know that, again, consciousness, leadership, and so on. So, conscious leadership. Why is it even so? I think even one of the people had put, okay, then there's a different question, but I'm curious to even ask, and I asked this of myself, why is it so important in leadership? What do you think around that?
Okay, so, there's a popular saying that what you don't know, you can't manage. So, who you don't know, you can't manage. So, as leaders lead others to action. So, first of all, if you don't know yourself, if you don't know what triggers you, if you don't know the underlying beliefs, structure that determines your actions, your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions, it's more difficult to control your behavior. So when you live unconsciously, you tend to be extremely reactive. People who know me, my family, they know that sometimes when I was a lot younger, I was extremely reactive. I used to react to everything. But the more I learned about consciousness, the more I understood my triggers, understood the beliefs and the thoughts that I'm not even aware of that are running in the background and running, in my unconscious, that I basically had to start controlling. I was better able to control my responses and to choose
I was going to say that.
my responses to any trigger, any situation that I'm faced with. And you know what? Many times those decisions that I make, they really go against the grain. I've made decisions that have not been popular, decisions that people have said no, 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 against popular consensus. But any decision that I make that is aligned with my deeper self, my intuition, I've never regretted it, regardless of what people have told me at any point in time. So for me, part of consciousness and part of the value of consciousness is really being able to tune into your own inner self, your own intuition. Because your intuition, your inner, I don't know whichever religion, but your inner self, your intuition, I'll call it intuition so that I am neutral.
Yeah.
I'm not biased against religion or whatever. Some people will say spirit, Holy Spirit, or whatever, but I'll call it intuition for the purpose of this conversation. That if you can tune in to your intuition, your spirit can never ever deceive you. You will always make the right decisions when you learn to listen to your inner voice, right?
Yeah, sometimes even in coaching we call it the higher coach.
Higher coach.
Yeah, so and sometimes there's always, and the thing is, it's very easy in Nigeria, always distracted. There's so many things that are happening, and sometimes just being still. We talk about mindfulness now, just being still and listen, because our voice isn't always very loud. Sometimes it can be louder when you're really still, but it usually kind of whispers with all the distractions, all the noise. But when you're still and you really connect with it, it becomes magnified. Yeah. And it goes a long way.
I love what you said about being still, because the fact that we are so busy being busy,
yeah,
and we are so distracted as a generation, that we don't get to listen to that intuition, because we're almost overstimulated in this generation, because all the devices. I have 2 phones, I have my iPad, I have my laptop, the TV, sometimes DSTV is on, and there's work, there are people coming into your office, so there's just so much going on before you turn, big things. Yeah. Even on one phone, I have Instagram, I have my WhatsApp. Now there's Telegram. So we're just really, really busy.
And let's talk about the Instagram groups, WhatsApp groups.
WhatsApp group.
messages flying. So it's so easy to just get swallowed up in all the distractions.
Yeah, and even if you look at it from the religious angle, it says you listen to the silent still voice.
Yeah.
Silent still voice. Many times we fail to get away. To listen to that silent still voice. And with the program that we do, with the coaching program we do, one of the basic principles says that you should actually connect. With that silent still voice. Because that is really the voice of true wisdom and the voice of truth, regardless of circumstance, regardless of what's going on around you. When you learn to be still and to connect, you really can't go wrong. So I guess one of the things that one of the key take homes from this session is for us to learn to get away, and to connect with that silent still voice, and to connect with our intuition. And I'm not saying, because some people say that, does that mean that you don't ask for advice, you don't ask for counsel? It doesn't mean you don't ask for counsel, but as the days go by and as the years go on, learn to train yourself to listen to that voice, to the voice, that represents your intuition, basically.
And it's quite interesting what you said about even the distractions, because even for leaders, CEOs and all, there's so many things that are constantly going on. There's a lot of demands, and it's not necessarily even about the length of time. When you say it gets away, I always say it's not necessarily about the length of time, it's about the quality of time. Some people say, I can't get away, there are too many things. It's not even about the length. It can be even a day, 5 minutes, but really that silent space that you just need to really connect, and you'll be amazed at what you're able to achieve just by giving yourself, jealously guarding that time and giving yourself that space every day.
Yeah, it's a discipline. I mean, you're trying to do it every day, can't always do it. And because I'm talking to Nigerians, non-Nigerians, but Nigerians, we all know prayer, we know how to pray, So in the middle of your prayer as well, just get some time for meditation, and to listen instead of talking, requesting. Just listen. What exactly is the guidance? What exactly am I hearing from those sessions? So, Sochi, both of us are energy leadership master practitioners, right? And as I said at the beginning, for those that are just joining, energy and consciousness are used interchangeably. So what exactly is your understanding of energy and how it relates to leading self and how it relates to the human being?
Well, it's similar to what you said. It's just really being aware of even a conscious, deeper sense of awareness of what your triggers are, how you show up. And when I talk about showing up, I talk about just, your presence. What are you emitting as you are sitting here? If you are reacting to something, so there are certain things, there are a few things that I realized I was reacting to. So being an energy leadership coach or a master practitioner, it actually even reminded me, okay, so there's a reaction. Rather than punish myself for it, what happened there? What's the trigger there? And so for all of us, even you don't have to be a master practitioner to know this, but if you have a reaction that probably does not match the quote unquote crime, or even a reaction, you flew off the handle, what was triggered right there? And really pausing to see, okay, how am I responding or reacting to this one? Was I a victim? Am I the anger? You talked about choice even. Your reaction, really, your expressed reaction is a choice. So what was the alternative, and what mindset do I need to have to be able to have an alternative and more empowering response? And I don't, there's responding and then there's reacting, or there's acting and then there's reacting. So what response can I give that's more empowering and more, that's more acting than reacting? So it's really about holding and pausing yourself.
And that reminds me of there's a client that I worked with, really great guy, and I think I've shared this with you before. excellent at what he does, senior leadership, worked for multinational, but he was always reacting. He, always flying off the handle, high emotional reactivity. And, so I came in to coach him. And, one of the things that he said was, people are always making me angry. This person gets me angry. That person gets me angry. And, people don't make you angry. You choose to be angry. And as I always say, the space between reaction or trigger and action is choice. And, because as I said, we're very reactionary and we're not conscious, we tend to miss that small space and realize that we can actually pause to choose how we respond to that situation, which goes to what you were saying.
Yeah.
And you can hear what she said, that she basically has to slow when she has any emotional reaction to something. She stops and she thinks, okay, what's going on here? And those are the practices that you learn with conscious leadership, because conscious leadership isn't necessarily about leading others alone. The first thing you must lead is self, understand yourself, know how to lead yourself. And part of the things that we learn is how to take those moments, how to even be aware of the emotions that come up in the moment, and how to choose, understand what's going on, and then choose how you want to be in that moment and how you want to respond in that moment to get what you want to get out of it.
And the process sounds long, but it doesn't really take that long. Just a few seconds, just pause. Yeah. Okay, this is even just sometimes taking that deep breath. Okay, what am I feeling? What's a more empowering? What's a different way? And I don't like to say a better, but what's a different way? What's a more empowering way to respond to this trigger or to this situation? But we go on.
So I wanted to say, just I'll give us a free tip. And this it's out in the space, but basically every action, every behavior actually starts from a thought.
Yeah.
Every behavior starts from a thought. So your action doing, or your inaction not doing something, or being slow to do something, or not wanting to do something, it actually comes from a thought.
Yeah.
Your thoughts elicit a certain type of emotion, and your emotion leads to either you doing something or not doing it. So action, reaction, or
action,
or inaction. Okay. Right? So basically, I can't remember who told me this first, that if you can control your thoughts, you can control your life.
Yeah, there's a quote by that.
Yeah, there's a quote somewhere. Yeah. But if you can control your thoughts, you can control your life. And it is so true, because there are times that somebody does something to you. You can choose to get angry. You can choose to just what's this person saying? And once you start practicing conscious leadership, you actually pause and say that, why am I really reacting? What am I reacting to? What is this really saying about me? I remember, so because I generally look young.
Okay, just to say.
So I look a lot younger than my age, right? So I get, and being in leadership and working with a lot of men and a lot of older men, from the time I entered the workforce, I've always, worked with a lot of older people.
Yeah. And
the fact that I look young doesn't make matters better, especially in Nigeria, where we have, it's almost like an ageist. We have something about age, we have ageism, in Nigeria. So people always just used to, just the way they just this small girl, what do you know, that kind of thing. That thing gets to me. I react, but when I started learning about consciousness, I now wonder why it gets to me. It's like, okay, what's really going on here? What's really going on with me? I'm reacting, I'm getting irritated, I'm getting, annoyed with this person. What's really going on? So it was a case of oh, in my mind, running unconsciously is that maybe they're belittling me, or maybe they feel I don't know what I know. And that's what actually is causing the emotion, causing the reaction that I have to these people. So, those are similar instances or examples of instances that the awareness of self helps you to better manage. And I'm able at that point to switch my thoughts and say, okay, really, what's really going on here? How, as you said, think differently about the situation, and immediately my emotion changes, and immediately I'm able to clear the emotion and move on with whatever it is that we're doing at that particular point in time. So I just thought that story was one of those stories.
Yeah, in fact, that's even as because we've been talking a lot about leadership, and I remember one of the questions, in terms of that, just I guess do I say pivot back to the conversation around leadership and how you show up with with your team and so on. Somebody had asked about compassion. In fact, let me even just read what I have written here. Is consciousness remodeling? Because when you can break it down and explain or expand on what consciousness remodeling is when you're responding. But is this something like compassion expressed in leadership? So.
Okay, that's an interesting question. That's an interesting question. That is consciousness remodeling about compassion.
Yeah.
Not really. Compassion is an act that you choose to have in any particular situation. But consciousness remodeling is more around you replacing the negative programs or the disempowering programs that are running in your unconscious, and replacing them with empowering and positive programs and thoughts, which I said at the beginning that your thoughts leads to emotion leads to action. So if you're able to understand those thoughts, shift them, reprogram, remodel, you're actually able to have more positive responses, behaviors that serve you. Because what's the point of getting upset and getting angry? Many times, by the time you start interrogating yourself, like, really, honestly, what's the point? So you're able to, once you start replacing those negative models, negative mental maps, negative thoughts, behaviors, you just tend to create a more positive set of behaviors. You are able to create a more positive state and live in a more positive state. Now, living in a positive state is really, really important, because, again, what we don't realize, a lot of us realize, is that we are energy. And even everything we do emits energy. It all has energetic consequences. We don't realize also that every thought. So now, thank God that we now have science. So science, when they I can't remember what those electrodes, they hook you up. Every single thought is measurable. So the lower level negative type of thoughts, the energy that it is emitted when you're thinking those low thoughts, very low. But when you have the higher empowering thoughts and emotions like love, joy, bliss, peace, you actually have more anabolic energy. You have more, it is a stronger, creative type of energy. And so what you try to do when you are living consciously is to stay within the positive range as a state, because But there's a lot attached to it because your emotions are attached to the kind of hormones you secrete in your body. So when you're able to have positive thoughts, positive emotions, you create more life enabling hormones. You're more creative, you're more innovative, and you're just more positive, and you're able to make choices that serve you and serve those people that you lead, since we're talking about the office setting.
So, and I think there was something I was about to say, even it's about, and you notice that even when you talk about energy, high and low, and limiting low energy, sometimes you can even feel it in the people that are around you. And I'm sure many of you probably know that there are people that when you're with them, they kind of just drain you. You just feel the drain, because it's always there's certain comments that you hear from them. Oh, this person is me. What did they do? They did this to me. Why me? They made me angry, like what you said. So they tend to be draining. But then those people that are resonating at a higher level, there's more. And as I'm saying it, I'm feeling the lightness. You tend to feel a little, it may not be that they are bubbly and shouty, but they can just have that quiet stillness. But there's still that, there's a warmth around them. There's certain, so it's not as if you are sensitive and you are, like some people are empaths. If you're a sensitive person, you're sensitive to people's energy, you can feel that warmth and that glow also from some people.
I remember when people say, and in those days, where I understood what energy was about, like energy, like, it was very EBGB type of concept. When they say, oh, I that person had a negative energy or negative vibe. Vibe is another thing, another word that is used to explain energy, but it's real. Vibe, if you're a Gen Z, Alpha, vibe. When people have positive vibes, as you said, you can feel it. And when they have a negative vibe or energy, the more you play in the higher levels of energy, the more you feel uncomfortable when people with lower level energy, negative energy, walk into your field and walk into your space. So if we take it back to the workplace or take it back to home, it's important to know that one thing about energy is energy can be extremely contagious. So when you work in an environment, you have a team that is, all negative anger, resentment, backbiting, bitterness, just cutthroat. It can actually influence your own energy if you don't know how to create a field around yourself. And you can take it on. And you find out that when you work in teams like that, you get home and you are drained. You're tired. You can't think clearly. You struggle. You're like your working is labored. You're under stress. And really, honestly, your stress hormones are actually activated when you're in environments like that. And whether we believe it or not, you are not at your best when you're under pressure. And when you're stressed sustainably over a long period of time. So so energy, as I was saying, energy is something that is real. And energy, because another tenet of conscious leadership is understanding that the energy you give out is the energy you receive. It's actually a universal law. It's a universal principle of life. Again, you can trace it back to many biblical scripts. Whatever you sow, you reap. The energy you give out, you get back. But the problem is we don't see the connections. So because we don't see the connections between, this negative thought, this negative action, behavior, that thing you have sown, and what actually comes out of it, we don't connect. We don't connect to what comes as a result. So I got distracted because I have somebody in my room right now that's putting up a piece of paper. So she's just thrown my thought message.
There are some questions actually.
Well, she's asking about questions online.
And Okay, let me just go dive into the questions. There was something I wanted to add to what you said, but it's flown from my mind. So
It's with me.
we'll blame her. Yes, actually, yeah. So it's different because you were talking about you set. I mean that about your energy. You pick it up and then because you can pick it up from other people. And I wanted to just tie it to leadership because as leaders, you are setting the energy, you are setting the tone for your team. So if you are cut through to get, and it can get you results. But long term, sustainably, even if you are cutthroat, how are you passing? I don't like using the word cutthroat, but even how if you are it's toxic, And one of the things that we always say, and I know that when we are doing sessions, there's always that question: oh, that I can't be nice. We have deliverables. Being a conscious leader doesn't mean you're nice and you're skipping down the hills and singing loud.
Too much compassion.
So it's not about
you're in your office and you're like this all the time. No.
You're still direct in your information. You're setting targets. You're setting timelines. You're clear. There's no waffling or waffling around. It's just everything is clear and direct, straight to the point. And if somebody doesn't get the job done, you give them that feedback, but in a way, again, that's not disempowering. But you give them that feedback that is uplifting, empowering. What's the other word to say?
I think it's important to note that being conscious and being a conscious leader, it's important to note that it doesn't mean that you're soft.
Yeah.
And the fact that you have deliverables and deadlines, it doesn't mean you have to be, we have clients that we've worked with or, environments that we've worked with that, people complain that they'll abuse you from top to bottom. They'll abuse you to your parents and wash you down in front of your teammates. Yeah, you can get things done, but if you look at the track record of those teams, how many of those teams are still intact today? You can also get things done in a better way, in a more empowering way. If you can get that done with that kind of toxic environment, imagine how much more you can get done if you had a more enabling environment where you inspire. I mean, we've worked with both organizations where you have the toxic teams and you've worked with teams that have really high energy leaders. And honestly, the high energy leaders that are maybe they're conscious or not conscious that they're high energy, but they still achieve results. They are and what you find, the difference is that you find that these teams, people are just more empowered. They're more inspired. They're more. There's just something bubbly about the way they are within the office. They are around themselves. The way they achieve, they celebrate each other. They're just happier people, but they still deliver.
Absolutely.
And the other thing to mention from what she said is that as a leader, you need to be conscious of your energy level, because as she said, you set the tone for the team. You set the tone for the team. So because energy, passion is contagious.
Exactly.
Your question.
So the questions I have here. So if I can even say one is 2 in 1. One is that there are 2 questions, but we can answer them in one. One is asking what is organizational coaching, and then they ask the difference between life and organizational coaching. What is the difference between a life coach and an organizational coach?
Okay.
And there's 2 other questions, but we can just take these 2 together.
Okay. So life coaching is when a professional coach, and it's important for me to say it's a professional coach, not people who call themselves coaches or who are good counselors or who are good pastors. I have nothing wrong against pastors, but you need a professional coach who works with a client on issues that surround them as individuals and their life purpose. And they support them to achieve that purpose, right? So typical issues that life coaches deal with would be, maybe relationship, vision. I don't know, I have people who come and say that I have no purpose. I don't have a purpose in life. I don't know what to do. They're just inert. They can't move forward. They don't know what to do. They feel they're useless. There's some people who've had issues in the past, and those issues have formed the unconscious programs, and as a result they're not able to act, they're not able to do certain things. So life coaching is really around how you live your own personal life. It could be children, it could be anything like that. But with organizational coaching, is more within the organizational context.
Yeah.
It's to achieve certain goals, the vision, mission, goals, aspirations of that person within
with an alignment with
to the organization. So
yeah.
you're as an organization coach, leadership coach, executive coach, team coach, you're really working with them to achieve their goals within that organization.
Yeah.
But having said that, many times life coaching comes into it. And when I've had clients, leaders and executives that I've worked with, sometimes the life coaching part of it does not, it blocks you from doing the organization part. So we first coach around that energy, we first coach around the life issues, release the energy, release that, and then we're able to now focus on the organization.
Yeah.
Because you can't give what you don't have. So it's important for us to first deal with the life and then we move on to the organization.
Something I'll just add in fact is, I mean, of course, everything for coaching is confidential, but in life coaching, you are dealing directly with the client.
Yeah.
When it comes to the organizational setting or corporate setting, you are dealing now with the client and the organization, who's like what we call the sponsor. So a lot of times what you find is that the organization will call you in and say, okay, we need support in this individual in their development path and so on in their growth, and we will deal with the individual, like JP has mentioned, but in alignment with the expectations from the line manager. But I have to put it out there as well that everything is strictly confidential. The details of the conversation that you have with the client, with the leader, with the team, stays within, it's part of our ethics, it stays within that. But then, of course, we still have to give a feedback in the sense of we've met, and of course initially at the beginning you have to agree on what the outcomes are in alignment as also with the client. So it's almost like you have to have a tripartite sort of agreement in the sense in the organizational context. So just to thank you for that was a very wonderful question. And then this other one, I think we've kind of even spoken to it. Maybe not. Why is coaching important for productivity? What do we think around that?
Okay, so is it Timothy Galway that said performance? There's an equation. Yeah.
No, something minus interference
is performance, right? Yeah. So it's important because, I think we said at the beginning that there's a lot of interference in your day-to-day life that, working with the coach can help you to remove the interference and therefore optimize your performance. So when you're coaching in coaching, first of all, I think when I first started coaching, you'll have the sponsor who's maybe somebody in HR or a senior leader and say, oh, you're here to see your patients.
Yes.
I was like, no, they're not patients.
Because they think it's corrective.
They think it's a corrective activity. But coaching is actually, if you look at sports coaches, there's nobody that doesn't have a coach in sports. Tennis, the football, whatever, you have a coach. But you're coaching top performers.
Yeah.
You're coaching people with talent. So the same thing in organizations. You are coaching somebody that we say is they're functional, but you're moving them from functional to optimal by helping them to understand and identify the interference. And these interference can be physical. They can many times they're internal interference. Removing the interference and helping them to achieve and optimize their performance. Yeah. Whereas in counseling therapy, many times these people are dysfunctional.
In certain areas.
In certain areas, and you're moving them in that case from dysfunction to functional.
Yeah.
But then somebody said something to me yesterday about that they're is it high performing dysfunction.
Oh, I know. I've heard that thing before. I can't remember. High functioning, something dysfunction, something like that. Yes.
You're high functioning, dysfunctional or something. And the truth of the matter is that there are many leaders that are high performing, but they're dysfunctional.
Yeah.
So they're achieving goals. They're working hard. They're driven, but they're absolutely not okay.
Yeah, there's something. Yeah,
absolutely. And the people that work with them know they're not okay, but because they're performing and they're bringing in the results, you feel that they're okay. And and what happens as senior management, they overlook all the bad behavior because they're bringing in the results. But as I keep saying, you can imagine how much more this person can achieve if they remove the dysfunction or address the dysfunction, and drive that way.
Absolutely. See now again.
Any other question?
There's another question. How can we channel? This is an interesting one. How can we channel the team energy for high performance without supervision and conflict?
How can you channel the team
energy for high performance without supervision, without much supervision and conflict?
So I think the leader is very important.
Yeah.
Right? I think it's important for a leader to set the tone. Mm-hmm. It's important for a leader, first of all, of every team to have their own vision. So you have the organizational vision, yes, we understand. Mm-hmm. But what is your own vision as a leader for your team?
Yeah.
And how do you ensure the people that you work with see where you're going? Mm-hmm. Because if you cannot connect, if they can't see where you're going, you're just going to be dragging them.
Yeah,
exactly. So you drag your team to deliver. But if they can see where you're going, number one, if they can buy into that vision that they see, and as a leader, what you're doing is now guiding and inspiring, you find out that these people, these teams, you can actually channel their performance positively. In fact, they will self-channel themselves. Yeah. Once somebody keys into your vision and feels it, and understands the reason why they wake up every morning to go to work, and that reason connects with their own sense of purpose, you ignite passion in that person. So the difference is when you see someone that's connected to your vision as a leader, you come to work, that person is there early. That person, when you're passionate about something, when there's something you're really passionate about, you will do it in the middle of the night. You will do it Saturday, Sunday. It doesn't so it's not work. Exactly. So it's important for leaders to key into that discretionary effort that their team bring into it, so that in fact, when you were able to tap into that discretionary effort, they will do over and above what you pay them for on a daily basis, and you get a lot more out of them. So the work of the leader is to create that enabling environment, is to ensure that that environment is inspiring, is positive, they're motivated, you're giving adequate rewards, and you're celebrating successes. There's so many things around it, but it's so important, and everything starts from the leader's energy, the leader's consciousness and awareness.
And also, one of the things to add to that is also that you trust your team members. You trust that they will follow through on the task, and they are clear again on their. So as you talked about setting the vision, they have to know and how each and every one of them. I remember we did this for a team, and once they were clear on not even just the vision, the purpose, the why of the organization. Why is the organization existing? Each individual in the team was able to connect with it to their own purpose, and if I could feel the emotion in the room, because it shifted them, and actually that team performed excellent. In fact, they kept on, they are still doing well to today, because they are clear. Everybody knows what role each of them play, and it's connected to them, to self, to their own purpose. So that is so really it's important in setting that tone. And when people even say conflict too can be healthy. So have those healthy disagreements, but just make sure that whatever disagreement you have, it doesn't become a personal thing. That it's okay to see things differently. We're all different individuals. We're all going to have different perspectives, but to respect that, and then just know that if there's a disagreement, it's not me, personal, that they're seeing it from a different view. So just to keep, and so as leaders, as people in a team, to remember there are always going to be different views. you are not going to see the same thing. I always give my brothers as examples. They're identical twins. They see things differently. How much more all of us as individuals from different homes, different backgrounds. So respect that first of all. There's going to be a different perspective.
I love that. I love what Sochi just said, that conflict is not a bad thing. People always think conflict is a bad thing, or if you have a disagreement with somebody, it's a bad thing. No, it's just data. You know, that's the way I look at it. It's simply data, and it's what you do with the data that's important. It's just telling you. So if you get angry at somebody, anger is not a bad emotion per se. But it's just okay. It's what the signal is that okay, there's something off kilt here. And what is this emotion telling me? What is this anger saying? What is this conflict saying? What's really going on here? And working through it can actually lead to higher performing teams, especially when you work through it objectively.
So there's this one about consciousness. Is consciousness remodeling emphasis on self-awareness? You've talked about that, and emotional intelligence. And is it crucial only in today's leadership landscape? And I think we've kind
of... It's a jump question.
I mean...
Okay, so is consciousness... Can you repeat the question?
Sorry, let me go back because I saw another question. It says, is consciousness remodeling emphasis on self-awareness and emotional intelligence?
Yeah, so we touched on this, right? So consciousness remodeling has a lot to do with self-awareness, self-management. But it goes beyond self. It's also being aware, just like emotional intelligence, about your environment. And it's now being aware of how yourself, the environment, creates certain life outcomes. So there are times that when I see, so it's understanding that linkage between self, environment, and the life experiences that you are having. So, you know, I've learned nowadays, so when I see repeating patterns in my life, maybe, you know, just certain situations and circumstances that seems to be like repeating, I've understood that life is really a lot about learning different lessons. And I've learned to understand also that if you have not learned the lesson will present itself in different ways until you have learned that lesson. So when you see those kind of repeating patterns, it's for you to now think, what I always do now is, why is this pattern repeating? What unconscious thought? What is it that is in my unconscious that is leading to these conclusions and these life experiences? It's always there somewhere. There must be something there somewhere. What unconscious thought or program do I have that is attracting these life experiences to me? What lesson do I need to learn that I have not learned? So you can see that I've gone beyond understanding self, understanding my environment and people that are in my environment, to linking it to life outcomes. Right? So it's that superstructure. There's they call it holographic thinking, being able to connect personal, external outcomes, and also your mental, emotional, spiritual connections, you know, to all that we do.
And just to, because that was, you kind of responded to that question, I mean, in addition, because you talked about, is it only crucial in leadership? And you just spoke to it as an individual. So it's crucial to every individual it's in your life. So it's just, so this, so we are speaking to conscious leadership, but really it's also critical to you as an individual. So you don't have to wait till you're a leader. Start building. It's like building that muscle. Start building that muscle now. So by the time you get, because everybody's a leader in one way. So first of all, you're even a leader in yourself. So it's really about, first of all, mastering that skill, that muscle. And by the time you're at that, with all the triggers, anybody can come and be stepping on but there's nothing for them to trigger, because you mastered that art.
So we just had a Nigerian moment here. They've taken power. And we can hear trucks in the background. I don't know if you can as well, but they've taken the power, so you can hear the beeping in the background. Please don't be distracted. This is just us recording in Nigeria, and we have no power. And we have our assistant that's trying to use her phone for the lights.
Yes, we'll keep rolling with it.
We will roll, and keep it natural.
So the last question that I have here is, what are the benefits of obtaining a coach trainer, a coaching certificate from CCC? So,
the benefits.
The benefits, yeah.
Okay, to answer that question, and I'll let you answer the question also. To answer that question, I'll give you my own personal experience with coaching. So in, I think 2009 or 2010, I did my first coaching certification. And, they'll teach you how to listen, how to ask questions, and they'll teach you, grow model, how to coach using a specific model, But I just felt there was something else, or just something more to the process that I personally needed to learn in my own personal life that wasn't teaching. So we did another coaching, and Sochi and I did this program together that revolved, the foundation was around energy, around consciousness, and that linkage between what stops you from behaving and what drives you to behave, and some blocks, different blocks within, and understanding what those blocks are, from limiting beliefs to the inner critics, whatever it is, understanding those blocks and removing those blocks. So when I went through my program, it was like a 6 to 9 month program. It was like a huge energy release for me. I sorted my own self out. So our program is modeled around that type of coaching, where you're coaching the energy, you're coaching people's consciousness and helping them to release the energetic blocks, what I called earlier interference, in order for you to have sustainable action. Because if you lead somebody to action without dealing with the anchor, because many times these thoughts, these programs in our unconscious, they're like anchors. When you anchor a ship to the ocean base or the whatever, you can't move forward. So the ship can move a little bit, but it'll come back. So it's our program basically at CCC helps get deeper levels of coaching and deeper sustainable behavioral change from our clients and from people that come through our program. So for us, the other thing is the fact that it's accredited, internationally accredited. We get a level 2 accreditation, which will prepare you to apply for a PCC, the professional certified coach credential with ICF instead of the ACC, so like second level up. It's detailed. You touch on all the coaching competencies. You have a mentor coach who will coach your coaching and give you feedback on your coaching. You have peer coaching, and then our core cognitive remodeling methodology and approach. Honestly, it's worth going through, even if it's just for that particular methodology. It's a process. I think feedback from our past students just validates why going deeper and using deeper methodologies as a coach, it just creates powerful results with clients. And you leave already coaching. Many of our clients, as they're finishing the program,
you already have clients.
They have paid clients.
Exactly. And just like what I guess in addition, you said quite a bit. In addition to that, I think you also touched on it, but I want to just expand on the fact that you are not just learning how to coach, you are also learning to be, exist, to live as a coach, and you're also going through the coaching as well, because in order for you to be able to impact others, to create shifts, to create awareness, you also have to build that level of awareness in yourself. So it's a very powerful. So some of our participants or our students have gone through a mind blowing shift in their energy, and
the way they look at life,
and
so engage with life.
Exactly.
From the
very, very powerful. So it's really like unlocking. Really, when we talk about unlocking potential, you are really unlocking your potential.
Yeah, and I'm really excited with this next cohort because I'm back in the classroom. I'm going to be coaching. I'm going to be training. For me, coaching is a passion. It's something that I do and I don't get paid for. That doesn't mean that you should come and ask me for free coaching. I don't mind. I mean, it's just something that I feel is a calling, and it's something that I'm meant to do, and the value I'm giving back to my community and environment at large. So I'm really excited to join Sochi, who's our lead facilitator on this next program.
Thank you very much. Well, it's exciting. Looking forward to hearing great and wonderful things. I think I'm seeing hand signals. I'm not sure what that means. 4 minutes. Okay, so we have about 4 minutes.
Any more questions?
Is there any more questions?
How did we do, guys? For our first Instagram live podcast, whatever this is, please give us feedback. Thumbs up for.
There's no way. I don't want to. So give us feedback. Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. We did well. You can even clap for us if you please encourage us. You know, the 1 hour has almost flown by.
Yeah.
And I'll be doing a series as well from next year on conscious living. Conscious living, conscious relationships, conscious leadership from next year, where I will actually be sharing key principles of how to apply consciousness in different areas of your life, different aspects of your life, and how doing that just makes you more fulfilled in whatever area of life that we're playing in. So whether it's life, whether it's relationship, whether it's at work, I am committed in 2025 to that particular project and sharing that gift with as many of you as possible. So please follow our handle, Sochina1.
Yeah, it's in Instagram, Sochina1.
And mine is at Jibola A Official, I think.
Yes.
Thank you.
And then Center for Core Coaching.
And also Center for Core Coaching will be sharing a lot of information from 2025 on consciousness, conscious leadership. So stay tuned. Wishing you a really, really Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, a prosperous New Year. We hope you've enjoyed this first session that we've had, and you've taken 1 or 2 things away from it that you'll apply into your life come 2025. And we're really hoping that 2025 will be a productive and conscious year for you, where you are living, acting, choosing, and not reacting to different things that come into your field. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.